And good day. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, coming to you live from the podcast layer. Yeah. With my producer, Phil.
Hey.
And we got somebody also helping out. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
Merry Christmas to everybody. It is the season. Try to be kind. I know we get wrapped up in our lives, and sometimes it's stressful, and sometimes it's busy, and it's always expensive to go through Christmas. But guess what? It's really not about that. It's about loving one another, about celebrating the importance of Jesus Christ to me. And we tend to lose that perspective and think it's all about gifts. No, it's about family. It's about honoring God. So don't forget that. Try to be kind. Try to be peaceful. The country absolutely needs that, because soon I'm going to be talking about some of the insanity that's coming out of Minnesota. We're finding that with SNAP benefits, they recently found that there are at least 186,000 dead people currently receiving SNAP benefits. Or let's say this is week-old news, so I'm hoping they're no longer receiving their SNAP benefits. But don't they get them once a month? Probably the month is paid for, and they can't cut them off till January.
Wow. Oh, snap. Oh, wait, that's a different thing.
But yeah, 186,000 dead people are receiving one of the forms of welfare, whether it's WIC or SNAP or there's various ones. It's crazy to me that so many people had a absolute cow about DOGE. And I think partially because it was Elon Musk, and obviously because anything to do with Trump, they automatically think it's bad. Well, is government waste bad? If we took Trump out of the equation, and this is for my friends on the left, I would like you to honestly answer this to yourself, or maybe even put it in the comments. Is government waste bad if Trump is eliminating it? And if we took Trump out of the equation, would you be willing to say, no, people should not be scamming the system, that taxpayers and American citizens shouldn't be wasting that money? We are $30 billion in debt. Well, just in Minnesota, they found over $1 billion worth of various types of welfare fraud. It falls into 3 categories. And so far, just under 100 defendants have been charged. Many of them have already pled guilty. So in other words, we're not guessing whether there was this fraud. It's not some accusation by the Trump administration. It's incompetence by, I don't know, am I allowed to use that word that starts with an R that has to do with Tim Walz? Let's say he is sufficiently mentally challenged. Is that a good way to put that? Sufficiently mentally challenged? Significantly mentally challenged?
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. It's very PC of you.
That's PC.
You're PC?
I kind of prefer, well, I am pretty PC.
Yeah, we are on YouTube, so we got to be PC.
Right. That's the only reason I'm talking about it in this way. I actually love the fact that Trump just called it the way he saw it. I'm not all Trump deranged. Sometimes I think it's not wise what he says, but it's almost always funny, and it's real. So maybe you could get over yourself. Those that are having these whole, I don't know, almost spastic fits when it comes to Trump TDS. So 90 defendants, many have already pled guilty. Almost all of them happen to be they're immigrants from a little country in East Africa. Well, it's not that little, but a country that is absolutely a disaster called Somalia.
Oh, the president of Somalia he's even here in Congress, right? In America? Wait, that's somebody else.
Actually, there is somebody that is in Congress named Ilhan.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, I was being
very attractive woman, unless you listen to her talk. And then as soon as I listen to her talk, she's so anti-American that it's just like, yeah, please leave. It is crazy that such a concentration of fraud happened with one immigrant community.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting that then she went on CNN and talked about how the real victims in this are the Somalis.
course. It's Somalia first, right?
Well, she said that more than
Mhm.
once.
Yeah.
Even though she's a sitting U.S. Congresswoman from, I believe, Minneapolis, but definitely Minnesota. I think Minneapolis is her area. And while there was all this fraud, 3 types of fraud, $1 billion, interestingly enough, she started about 4 years ago with about $65,000 to her name.
Yeah.
And somehow magically, this is special.
I think
Only members of Congress can pull off this kind of thing. She is now worth about $30 million in 4 years.
It's maybe because she married her brother. Wait, that's a different thing. But
No, she's married 2 people since then.
Oh,
I don't
okay,
think it was the married her brother.
Okay.
So,
You're like, what's going on? It's true. She's being investigated now for fraud, right?
well, she's being investigated for fraud. Now, I'm going to shout out to somebody that I watch all the time on social media, fellow podcaster, Damani Felder. He's out of Texas, good guy. And one of the things he put is, all I want for Christmas is to increase my net worth by 40,000% by Christmas.
I love it.
Well,
Ready?
that's essentially what Ilhan Omar did.
Yeah.
So that is not the reel that we're going to play.
All right. Got
He
it.
did not do that when he just posted a meme,
Ah, okay.
or I would be playing that.
All right.
But he gets the credit for that. I love that whole idea. All I want for Christmas is to do as well as a congressman. The sad part is she's kind of a loser at stealing from the American taxpayer compared to like Nancy Pelosi. Nancy's better at it.
Yeah.
Does that give you the idea of how much the deep state, the long-term politicians are? Now, Illian's only been in there 3+ years, so, give her time. Or we have the other alternative. If we can prove that, yes, she married her brother, and that is immigration fraud, and she used that, I think it'd be fair to kick her out of the country.
Man, the left keeps on giving, right? Her and Crockett is just so easy, but they still stand up for their craziness. I don't know what
they definitely do, and I don't quite understand why. So getting back to these multiple fraud schemes that, by the way, here's why it would be fair to say that the governor of Minnesota is mentally deficient. Tampon Tim is mentally deficient.
You love saying that way too much, huh?
Yes, I do. Is because there were multiple whistleblowers that were in Minnesota government that said, hey, something's not right. You need to look into this. This isn't one. This is several dozen whistleblowers tried to spread light on this and say, hey, we can't have this happening. We need to fix this. And what was Tampon Tim's response? Well, but I put tampons in the locker room. Doesn't that fix it? I don't know that he actually said that, but that seems to be the level he operates at. So I actually think there should be some consequences for him, too. There is a governor's race coming up. I'm hoping that Minnesota does not keep repeating the definition of insanity, meaning they don't need another incompetent governor. Let's hope they do better. Let's hope they choose wiser. Let's hope that maybe God's word and some of those morals that he wrote down or had man write down, 10 Commandments, maybe we should look at that. And I hope that touches the hearts and minds of the voters in Minnesota and something better happens.
But
I can't give too much grief because I live in a place where I thoroughly believe there is more fraud than that.
Ooh, yeah. I was going to say in Minnesota, they have a little olive branch they're going to exchange the T word for the P word, right? For my pillow might be coming in. So maybe they'll get some more pillows.
Well, let's hope.
Mike Lindell.
Mike Lindell is an interesting guy.
Do you think he has a chance there, by the way?
I've not looked into that. He has the name recognition.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he has a shot. I know that I like him. I've met him once, talked to him for a few minutes.
Oh, that's right.
Full of energy.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I've met him. Well, I've seen him speak 3 times. I've only got to actually talk to him once.
He sounds like a wrestler. He talks like not the accent, but he's a wrestler. He's like always yelling at everybody. I know.
He brings a tremendous energy. You got to work on your Mike Lindell
I do.
voice, though.
Yeah, I do. I'll work on that for you.
So I keep saying
SNAP.
there's 3 different ways. It's not just SNAP. There was an autism element in Medicare. Well, a whole bunch of Somalis and a few other criminals, because again, a bunch of them have already pled guilty. So I think it's fair to say maybe not everybody that's been charged, but a bunch of them have admitted, yep, we're criminals. One of the things they did is they claimed that they had kids that had autism. You know, they got like fake doctor's notes and said, well, my kid has autism. Well, guess what? Through Medicare, California would be Medicaid, Medi-Cal, but the rest of the country, it's Medicare. And they simply had doctors lie and say, this kid has autism, and they got extra money.
Yep.
Except it wasn't true. It was just another way to screw over the taxpayers, to line their pockets at the cost of the taxpayers. Then the big one is a whole feed the children scam. Now, if they'd actually fed the children, this might not have been so bad. Because let's face it, kids are not responsible. Even if their parents are completely flakes and are not taking care of business, the kids are still not responsible. So feeding kids, I don't have a big problem with.
Yeah, we're for the poor.
Yeah. But
Or
feeding
not.
kids that and putting down meals that never got served and there were no kids that were fed, that's a scam. And again, we have people that have pled guilty to this. What will happen with some of the other defendants that have not yet chosen to plead guilty? They'll have to go have their day in court. I don't know about what's going to happen with them, but we have multiple people that have pled guilty.
I didn't know that. They pled guilty?
Yes, they
Wow.
pled guilty. They didn't even fight it, just they pled guilty.
Is that the Department of Justice or is that California? That sounds weird. In California, they're holding them accountable.
Well, that's not California.
Okay,
This is Minnesota.
I got you. Okay, now
This is
there we
Minnesota.
go. Okay, we're making the tie. Thank you.
Oh, well, we did talk about there were squirrels in here.
Yes, that's the brain lady squirrel. Give me a shout out to the brain lady here. The squirrel. Squirrels happen here in the studio.
We have a little fun here at the here in the podcast layer. The third way was housing assistance and childcare subsidies. So one of the things, and I'm not going to paint with a broad brush, but there are some Somali men that have multiple wives and they're Muslim. And they don't all live in one home. They get the other ones on welfare. They use things like SNAP money to buy, and then they open a restaurant, and then they use the SNAP money to go buy food for the restaurant to make a profit on.
Okay.
And they get housing hub subsidies. They get child care assistance. There's all those types of programs in California too.
Yeah.
So this is not like some huge leap.
They start a restaurant with the money?
They start a restaurant and then they use the SNAP money to buy the food for the restaurant.
Wow. Talking about double dipping. That's
Well, it's kind of an innovative way.
yeah.
But I want to point out something about Somalia. They have a corrupt government. They don't have a stable government. There's been civil wars. Really, the people are having a hard time. So I'm not blaming the average person there, but in order to get by, one of the normal things you do is find a way to sucker the government, to find some scheme. Well, they just brought that here. This is why we need people that come to the U.S. that come the right way, that don't want to succeed through being a criminal, but want to succeed because they want to work, because they can contribute to our society. I see it as it's a privilege here, and we have more freedom, more possibility. You can define your own destiny here through hard work. Not everybody can be president, but everybody could do something else. You go to a whole lot of countries, and let's say your dad is a barber.
Yeah.
You know what your options are?
Yeah.
You can be a barber.
Yeah.
Even if you hated being a barber, you couldn't be an artist, you couldn't be an engineer, you couldn't be a doctor. That's how it is. In a whole lot of the world, you can't define your own destiny. We need people here. We need immigrants. I want immigrants. I just want them to respect our rule of law. I want them to not be criminals. I know that's a pretty high bar for the left, to have people come over that are not criminals. I want them to thrive, but I want them to agree that we have a First Amendment, that we have some common American culture that I think they need to agree to, or they shouldn't be coming here. Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from Somalia, is Somalia first and hardcore leftist first. And rarely do you ever get her to say anything good about the United States. She would like for us to descend into chaos so that she can remake it in, I'm not sure what image, but something that we would not recognize as America. She's kind of the opposite of conservatism.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and play that first clip.
On food stamp fraud, we're seeing what's happening in Minnesota, but this is really about waste, fraud, and abuse taking place across many blue states. Just imagine this. The federal government is giving states the money, and then those states turn around and basically say, don't ask us about this money anymore. It's none of your business. In fact, they go as far as saying, if you bother us about it, we'll sue, because we don't want to tell you what we're doing with the funds. And so now the Trump administration is countering with no cooperation, no funds. And blue states like Maryland and their governor are already losing it over this request from the Trump administration and the announcement that fund.
So how does that fit in? That was, by the way, Charles Forte. He's a podcaster. Yeah. I listen to a lot of different podcasters. I essentially get my news in many cases from podcasters because I believe I'm part of the new media. I need to support the new media. It's not just that I'm doing this. I'm hoping that I can highlight other people and find places where they can get their news. They can get a different perspective. No corporation's paying that guy to say what he's saying.
Yeah.
So how does that fit in? What the federal government wants to do, essentially, is have all the states give them basic data so they can use something like the DOGE system to analyze whether people are cheating the system. Obviously, blue states like Minnesota can't handle it. I would venture to say, and I eagerly await more news from some friends of mine where they're attempting to DOGE California. I think we're going to find that the waste and fraud in Minnesota is somebody will get this word out, is tiny. Because I don't think I could get the other word out today. If we just look at homelessness, we don't know where the money went for $24 billion is a minimum rock bottom number. Many people are now saying it's $30 billion has gone to homeless, and all we got was more homeless. Well, clearly somebody's pocket got lined, and clearly there's a problem. And I believe that the biggest problem is that at the top of that pyramid scheme is a man named Gavin Newsom.
What do you call
him? The cockroach? No, I hate to insult cockroaches like that.
Whoa. Oops.
Well, I don't have anything good to say about Gavin Newsom. I think he is absolutely a corrupt, lying opportunist that only cares about power, that he will say and do anything for more power, but he'll say it in a very smooth, slick way, so he sounds believable. But if you actually analyze results, there's no consistency. Gavin will say and do anything. He should not be trusted. America, be afraid. California, we're stuck with our idiocy. However he got there, we're stuck with our idiocy for a little bit longer. Let's look at Gavin Newsom as a absolute beacon to not continue the insanity and choose wiser for our next governor.
Wow. Yeah, the homeless stat is crazy. Just looking and seeing that over 24 billion into homeless programs here from since 2018, 2023 alone, and over 30,000 souls, I guess, to over 181,000. It's actually increased with the money that was given. So it is definitely a scam, and they should do the DOGE thing now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely should do the DOGE thing.
If they gave every homeless person, broke that down, but easier to give them a house with that money. But you don't want to do that.
Well, but I don't want to do homeless.
No.
I'm not for
handouts.
housing first.
Yep.
No. If they prove that they're not on drugs and they're taking meds if they have a mental issue and they're going through treatment, I do believe that they can earn as the next step housing. But I think it's a huge, colossal mistake to give them housing first when you have not addressed their issues.
It'll incentivize it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have no accountability. Same thing in Minnesota. As Charles Forte mentioned, the governor Westmore of not Virginia, Maryland. All the blue states are saying, well, we don't want to turn over this data. Why? That's racist. Yeah, I know. I understand why there's looks of confusion with you guys, because that's their standard go-to anytime they don't have a good answer. Well, if there's fraud and waste, shouldn't the left always talks about how they're compassionate and they want to help people. Do you want to help people defraud the government, or do you want the money to go to the people that actually have the need?
Yeah, we're looking for money for more. The fire budget is being slashed, and the crime rate is growing, but because we're throwing more money for a lot of those programs that are basically doing fraud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I hope that more light gets brought to this. I love the fact that the Trump administration said, "You don't give us the data, we're going to hold up your money." That seems fair. Again,
nice.
You notice I started with 186,000 people they found on Snap. These are stats that are about a week old that are dead. I'm thinking they don't need to eat anymore.
That's a diet right there. Just they're
well, unless they found a new way to take it with them. I think a large part of why the left doesn't want this exposed is because there is fraud and waste, and they know that their buddies are getting paid off. I also think that you have to realize that everything is now, with the hard left, filtered through this pyramid. And at the bottom, you got, like, white guys. And each step, as you move up this pyramid, you have more value because they see you as a victim. Now, I don't believe either one of you gentlemen in front of me are victims, but your skin's darker than mine. I do believe that there was racism, and racism still exists, but
you can't tell I'm white, or what's the
well, they can't tell I'm white.
Jake Tapper. Yeah.
Well, you don't glow in the dark. I do a little bit. So it's hard to hide that fact.
Yep.
So as you look at this pyramid, what you have to realize is if you were of color, some colors mean having more disadvantage and they're bigger victims, all the way up to the darkest skin color. They think that's the greatest victim. Then you got to filter it through however many genders they seem to believe there are. And then if you've had surgery, if you're gay, then you get some more, you take another step up the pyramid. If you're some unknown gender and you've had surgery, all of a sudden now you're higher up. But I think the ultimate victim is the person that has all of those elements and is also the ultimate victim. Now, by ultimate victim, I mean society's against him. Everything's tough. And that ultimate victim to the left is the criminal.
Yep.
Am I wrong? Look at how they defended, Ilhan Omar, that not Venezuelan, El Salvadorian dad that beat his wife, and he was a gang member, and they deported him.
That's right.
they're defending, talking about the whole poor victim, criminal, gang member. This is where I realized they're not just off their rockers. Common sense does not exist on the left. How would you be that delusional? I don't know. Matter of fact, if somebody else has a theory as to how this can be figured out, what's your thoughts? Put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to have a better understanding. I think I'm actually right on this one. I think I nailed it. But if I'm wrong, set me straight. Anyway, kind of crazy world. And we've got so much unaccountability in states that are completely one-party rule. That means that stuff doesn't get investigated if it's against the people they like. Now, I don't think I see that as much in red states because conservatives tend to eat their own because they're trying to preserve the system. The left wants to overthrow the system, so anything that kind of unbalances us. The whole woke idea, it unbalances us. Because all of a sudden now, to truly be woke, you have to censor your thoughts because you don't dare say it. So you want to get to the point where you don't even want to think it because you're afraid you might say it. We don't have open debate that way. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and shift gears and want to point out some things that have to do with the corruption of Ilhan Omar. Again, $65,000 to a $300 million wealth in less than 4 years. Claims that Somalis are the real victims. Again, I don't know that all Somalis are criminals, but clearly some of them are. And she's saying they're the victims. So I hope that she gets what she deserves. Another big story in the news.
Yep.
The Seditious Six. This is the six, not Republicans, the 6 Democrats that decided to put out a video that said Trump is issuing illegal orders, unlawful orders. And that the military, if they think an order is unlawful, they shouldn't follow it. Now, that is basically the definition of sedition, meaning using a position of power to get the military to go against orders. In this case, orders all the way up to the commander-in-chief, President Trump. What they left out is they couldn't name any order that fits the definition of an unlawful order. All 6 of them couldn't come up with a thing. It's also concerning that they left out another piece of that. They're kind of sort of right, but they left out a very important piece. It's manifestly unlawful orders. So by manifestly, I mean it's instantly obvious that that's an illegal order. For instance, when the National Guard went to LA to deal with the riots, if the commander said, hey, I want you to shoot every one of the protesters that are in the back not causing trouble, take them out. That would be obviously wrong, right? It's not so obvious, though, if you've got a protester that's in the face of an ICE agent and now is pushing on him, and you choose to pepper spray him. Well, that's kind of a judgment call. At what point is it serious enough that you need to pepper spray him? That would be, some people would argue, unlawful, but it's not obviously unlawful. So what would the soldier do? Well, the way the Uniform Military Code is written, the only time it is justified to disobey orders is if it's manifestly, meaning obviously, clearly unlawful.
Yeah. What's very surprising to Senator, was it Mark Kelly?
Kelly.
He's a former Navy captain, even an astronaut. I mean, he talking about the American dream, right? And he was kind of leading partially leading that cause. So
he was one of the Seditious Six, and I was going to get to him.
Yeah. Sorry, got ahead.
No, not a problem. So they went on and did this video. Oh, it's all about, and I think what they were referring to, again, they wouldn't spell it out. They're willing to say, hey, Trump is breaking the law and that the military needs to not listen to him, but they wouldn't spell it out. But I think what they were talking about was in international waters, when Trump gave the order that we need to blow away narco-terrorists. Well, they've been labeled as terrorists. It was very clear that the boat was a terrorist. The boat was still floating. Did I feel this much bad? Probably this much bad. I don't think there's any space between my fingers. That they hit the boat a second time when it was still floating, and there were two of the terrorists that were bringing fentanyl that kills over 100,000 people in the U.S. every year to the U.S. Or if they weren't bringing it to the U.S., I still don't feel bad because they were in international waters. They were drug dealers. Maybe it was going somewhere in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me. They're narco-terrorists. They need to go. So Mark Kelly went from, and all of them went from, well, these are unlawful orders, to now all of a sudden they realize this got serious. And now he's like, well, I have First Amendment rights. And that's now his argument. He's gone on several shows and he talks about his First Amendment rights to say that. Well, he is a veteran, and I believe he served honorably, so he should know better. But when you're a veteran and you're a retired veteran and you're in command, he was it captain in the Navy, or was it higher than?
Navy captain.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know better. You don't actually have First Amendment rights when you serve in the military. Not in the same way. You are subject, instead of to the Constitution and the laws of your state, you are subject to the Uniform Military Code of Justice. And that code is very clear about sedition.
Yeah, and that code, the Pentagon's now looking at him, possible court-martial, right?
It's already rolling.
Really?
There will be some consequences, whether it's a full court-martial, a reduction in rank, which is possible, all the way up to, you realize, all the way up to potentially death.
Wow, that's big. Yeah,
well, that's big, but you can't have people running around not giving real reasons, just saying, well, we think what Trump's doing is wrong, but you can't then point out that it's wrong. And not only is it so wrong that you need to defy the commander-in-chief. This is sedition. This is basically treason. Mark Kelly needs to go. Yeah, I don't know that he needs to die. I'd settle for him being locked up.
Well, I think that as part of the same category is AOC telling migrants, illegals, how to obstruct justice, basically, because they don't basically not citizens.
It's along the same lines. The big difference is Mark Kelly, as a retired veteran, drawing a pension, is still subject to, instead of the Constitution and the First Amendment, he's subject to the military discipline, Uniform Military Code of Justice. Meaning, you realize that the military has its own legal system.
Yeah.
Thank goodness that it generally gets it right. Thank goodness that people are still willing to volunteer for the military. And I'm not taking down veterans. Thank you for doing that. But I have different rights than somebody who retires from the military.
Like they can protest, but they can't protest in a uniform.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's a very easy ask, and for him to tell other live active soldiers they should disobey the commander.
They should commit treason.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Mm-hmm. So I hope there's real consequences.
The Seditious Six.
Yep. It's a real problem that so many people are listening. Do you think there's not military guys?
Yeah.
And again, if that order isn't manifestly unlawful, what's going to happen when they go, I'm not doing that, and they disobey orders?
You just think they're
going to be court-martialed.
Yeah.
it's going to be bad. There's going to be consequences. Or what if they do something crazy?
Or in the heat of the moment, they need them to follow orders for our safety, for our defense, and they just choose not to do it.
Might be for our defense. It might be that they see some other units over there and they're shooting in some way they don't like, and they've got a tank, and they went, well, I'm just going to take out our own people. Essentially, you're sowing dissent. That's what Mark Kelly did, and he knows better. That's the biggest problem. He was a military officer. He knows better. And instead, he decided that in order to be the good little leftist, he had to embrace treason.
TDS and a whole nother level.
Yes, it is. Well, I'm going to go ahead and shift away from that story. I recently ran across an idea that kind of blew my mind. You know, the origin of woke. I always kind of went with Dinesh D'Souza's take on it, that it is basically cultural Marxism. And I don't know that he's wrong. I think that's an element of it. But an idea came up. Helen Andrews, she's kind of an anti-feminist, brilliant woman, academic. And she says, well, no, part of the problem is that as we keep moving towards an egalitarian society, meaning truly equal between men and women, and as women begin to take over academia, that women are focused on empathy.
Yeah.
So you can forgive a lot of things if you have to be empathetic. So if you're focused on empathy rather than focused on results, you have a different way of looking at things. So if you're empathetic, it's, oh, well, that person is a poor victim. It feeds right into that. And as more and more of the people that are, and women are frankly kicking butt, they're graduating college at a much higher level. They're going to college at a higher level. They're moving into almost all HR positions, human resources positions, and they have this different perspective. Well, it's not just that you need to be empathetic, but you can't even be one of the guys at a lot of companies now. So we've set up this system that is kind of the underpinning of woke. And that's kind of a scary thing to think of. It's not that I don't want women in the workforce, and it's not that I don't want them to have equal opportunity. I do think that men are better at some things on average. Of course, there's individuals. I think women are better at some things on average. A great example of that is if you were to go over to the Nordic nations, they're some of the most egalitarian, most equal between men and women as far as opportunity. So meaning Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland. But as they reached this kind of equal level, what they're finding is that men and women are different. That women are choosing different things and men are choosing different things. You know, the women scream about wanting this equality, but how come, and I got two guys here, how come I've never ever seen a woman driving a trash truck or emptying trash? Have you ever seen one? You have seen one.
Really?
My cousin in the Bay Area.
And again, if she wants to do it, I don't have a problem with it.
She's going to retire in January, as a matter of fact.
And it's a good job. It's a real job. Don't take it as that I'm giving grief. I'm just saying you're screaming for equality, but here's something rare. Between the three of us, we've seen one.
Yeah. And how many in that?
Well, because women, maybe we might even argue that women are smart enough that generally they don't want that job, though it's a good paying job.
They always take out the trash. When they get married, they take us out all the time.
You were married. I will see after this show.
Hey, I love my wife, for the record.
Well, I'd say that's a good call.
Yes.
And before she watches this show, you need to tell her that.
Yes, I gave her a shirt. I'm my husband's biggest fan. No, she doesn't wear it, though.
I'm surprised she doesn't make you wear it.
Yeah, I'm my own biggest fan. Main character syndrome, they call it, right? No, just kidding.
Well, you could tell we're not quite so serious today. Look,
Sorry.
it's the holiday season,
Yes.
and I hope that you get to go to Christmas parties
Ooh,
or Hanukkah
yes.
parties or Ramadan or whatever it is, and that you appreciate friends and family.
Yeah.
Because we all have a common humanity. And if we slow down and realize the common humanity, we do have a lot of things in common. Even the left would like to have a safe society. Now, how they go about it, I think their solutions are wrong, but they want a safe society. They're going to talk about how they want everybody to do well. Well, I think the right and the left agree on that, except the left wants equality of results. The right wants equality of opportunity. No matter which system we use, thank goodness we use capitalism, but whichever system, what happens within a fairly short period of time is that some people, it could be through dishonest means, though I'd venture to say most of the time it's through honest means, through their talents and their work, end up doing better than others. If we all had the same opportunity, but we weren't born equal because God gave us different gifts. For instance, I'd love to be funny. It's just not there.
You are very funny.
Yeah, funny looking,
Oh.
but I'm not funny otherwise. I'm more the guy that's the straight man that sets up the guy that's actually funny. It's not. It's how God decided.
Hey,
It's okay.
There's different types of funny. You're good.
I'm okay. So I can be special bus funny, like yellow school bus funny.
Yellow school bus funny.
Well, like Kamala.
Okay. You had to sneak in a Kamala thing. Word salad. Can you do word salad?
Well, we could talk about the meaning of time, but
Okay.
we're running out of time. So I think that
Yes.
it will
that's
be
right.
evident that we're running out of time before we get to the meaning of time. So we're just going to move on to something and let everybody know that you should love a yellow school bus.
Time after time. Wait, that's a different. Very good. I like that.
Well, we're wrapping up today. What could you go out and do that would make a difference in somebody's life? This is a time for generosity. I spent 8 years volunteering at a boys' home. Or I should say, I spent 7 years and 11 months volunteering at a boys' home. And 1 month, the very first month, I took pay and I was going to quit.
Wow.
And I went, well, I'm doing this for the pay. And the pay was not worth it. It was really hard to do what I was doing there to start off with. And I went, what if I just shifted my perspective? And I instead of thinking about it for money, what if I didn't take the money? What if I just put in the time and tried to make a difference in those young men's lives? And as soon as I did that, everything shifted. Volunteering makes us more grateful for the blessings in our lives. So keep that in mind. Who could you go help this holiday season? Because I think it will put things in perspective. I hope everybody has a great holiday. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist. God bless.